Alright guys, today we are going to quickly talk about English to algebra translations. This is super important when it comes to writing equations and putting together word problems and things like that. So we're going to quickly take some notes and then you will have an activity and then you can work on homework. So first thing I did is went back to my table of contents. On page 8 I put English to algebra. Go ahead and fill that in. And then you should have these notes here that say English to algebra translations. And let's see. So this says there are certain verbal expressions that when translated into an algebraic expression, a switch must take place. This is probably the most important part of this today. And most of the time is where mistakes come from, is not paying attention to these key phrases. So your phrases are more than, less than, to, and from. More than, less than, to, and from. So what that means is anytime you see these key words, you're going to switch whatever is in order. I'm going to show you some examples in just a second. So this says translate each verbal expression into an algebraic expression. This says 12 more than a number, so you have 12 here. A number I'm going to label as X because we don't know what it is. Because you see that more than, these are going to switch places, so this would be X plus 12. Okay? Let's see, number 2 says 8 less than a number that has one of those key phrases. So this would be X minus 8. Remember, when you see one of those key phrases, you have to flip-flop the order. All right, number 3, 6 decreased by twice a number. Because you don't have any of these 4 phrases, you're just going to translate it exactly like you see. So 6 decreased by meaning subtract, and twice a number would be 2x. If you prefer a different variable, not a big deal. Use whatever variable you like. Question 4 says 7 less than 3 times a number. Less than gives you that keyword or one of those key phrases, so you have to switch. So this becomes 3x minus 7. What's important here is if you would put 7 minus 3x, that changes your 3x to make it negative, which would then in turn totally change your answer. So that's why it's so important to translate it correctly. All right, question 5, the difference between a number and 11. No key phrases here, so I'm going to say like in minus 11 or x minus 11. Number 6, the quotient of a number and 5, quotient meaning divide. So technically you could write it this way, but for algebraic purposes, you're really going to see it written like this, like as a fraction. And remember, that is the same as 1/5 x. X over 5 and 1/5 x are the same. Okay? There is the first portion of that, so make sure you get those copied down. Again, paying attention to these 4 key phrases here, that is what's going to tell you to make that switch. Okay. The other part of this says sometimes parentheses may need to be used in order to represent the entire expression. Some keywords can include sum of, difference of, or product of. So number 7 says 9 times the sum of a number and 3. Because you see times and then sum of, so this would be 9 times the sum of a number and 3, so x plus 3. So here's your 9 times the sum of in parentheses, okay? And remember, 9x plus 3 would not be the same thing here. If you were to distribute that out, you would have 9x plus 27. Okay, question 8, 3 times the difference of a number and 7. There's your keyword here, difference of. So 3 times 3 being on the outside, and the difference of a number and 7, 3 times x minus 7. All right, question 9, the product of, again, here's that word that requires parentheses. The product of the sum of 6 and x and the sum of 4 and a. Sum of being another thing with parentheses. So starting with the first part, the sum of 6 and x. The sum of 6 and x is here. and the sum of 4 and a. All right, question 10, the sum of 3 and the product of x and y. So sum of meaning there's going to be some addition here. So the sum of 3 and the product of x and y. So xy this way. You could also write this as 3 plus xy, sorry, if it's a little loud in the background, my dishwasher is running. 3 plus xy written this way. Okay, question 11, x added to y multiplied by z is the difference of m and n. The only word on here we haven't seen yet is. Remember, is another word for equals. So x added to y multiplied by z, so we're going to put that on the outside, is the difference of m and n, so m minus n. Now if you want to put the z in the front, that's fine too. It doesn't actually matter here because you would have to distribute it anyway. The last one, 2 subtracted from x is 5. So this would be x minus 2. You have that keyword from. X minus 2 equals 5. Remember, if you had put 2 minus x, like over here, if you said 2 minus x equals 5, what's different about this is notice this x on the right is positive. This one over here is negative, which would change your entire answer if you were solving this equation. So this is the one you want. This one doesn't actually work. Okay? All right, you're going to cut that in half and glue one on the left and on the right. And then Miss Flint has an activity for you guys to complete before you can work on your homework. Have a good day, guys.